If you enjoy musical storytelling wrapped around social commentary, you might want to check out the Netflix film Emilia Perez. It's got performances from Selena Gomez, Karla Sofía Gascón, and a surprisingly melodic Zoe Saldana. The fearsome cartel leader Emilia enlists Rita, an unappreciated lawyer stuck in a dead-end job, to help fake her death so that Emilia can finally live authentically as her true self. So, using the gritty backdrop of violent drug cartels, we follow 3 points of view as a leader wants to make a very drastic change in their life, with the story then leapfrogging through the years just to give us glimpses of revelations and regrets. Now, this presentation, it's a little like Tick, Tick, Boom, where life is happening and then songs just naturally begin during regular dialogue. It's working to accentuate maybe a certain angle or a point during that particular scene. Now, honestly, I was very surprised at Zoe Saldana's singing ability. I mean, we all know she's a powerful actress and has been part of some of the largest grossing movie franchises ever. But I don't know if I've ever heard her sing before. She is wonderfully melodic, sometimes using a more spoken word or rap-like delivery, but for the most part, she is captivating when she sings. And there are 2 songs in particular that stood out to me that not only showcased her talent, but also were used to deliver poignant messages within the story. Now, one is when she has a back-and-forth duet with a doctor, verbally sparring while advocating for her client, and then even for a large demographic as a whole. The second standout number was during this award speech. Saldana is singing her inner thoughts, mixed with intricate choreography and some long continuous takes. On that note, I am pretty sure there's a goof that's left in because it happens near the very end of the performance. There's a person in uniform sitting at a table that Saldana is singing on. He moves before anybody else in the room, while all of the other moves have been carried out in unison. And it's not something that is bothersome or even a detriment to the story. It was just a quick misstep that I caught and made me chuckle. But in addition to her singing, Saldana is also powerful with her emotional delivery. In this realm, she's performing exactly as you'd expect, especially with just her vast filmography. I mean, she can command a scene with a strong and confident presence. And while she may not be the focal point of the entire film, she is a huge part of the story driver and then provides the strongest performance within the storytelling. But not far behind in the impressive acting is Karla Sofía Gascón in the title role. Now, she has a soft and wavering singing voice. Not wavering, though, in a bad way. She just sings in this manner that showcases the character's vulnerability and then reconciliation of her desires with ramifications of choices. And I enjoyed the conflict that we get to see in her eyes as the story progresses and then realization sets in about the consequences of her life. There's also a palpable realness to her performance, thanks to her own closeness to the subject and being able to include real-life viewpoints and possibly even experiences for her character. And then finally, with Selena Gomez, she's got a surprisingly small role within the story, but that doesn't mean that she's not core to the plot. She's great in both her singing and choreography, and with the limited screen time she has, we can see the pain, loss, confusion, passion, even rage within her eyes. Now, for as much as I enjoyed the songs and the way they weave within the regular dialogue, the story itself, it's a bit of a mess, becoming somewhat confused in the exact story that it wants to tell. The social commentary is layered, sometimes focusing on gender equality and rights, then also sometimes giving prominence to a commentary on cartel violence and all that it encompasses. Also, stuffed into the commentary is a dueling love story, attempting to create some sympathetic responses to relationships that just end up muddying the waters. First, there's a relationship with Emilia and another. And while this is nice to showcase some softness for her character, this portion is rushed and it feels shoehorned in, giving Emilia a love interest with complications introduced but unresolved. And the other relationship is between Gomez and Edgar Ramirez. And this is sort of just sprung on us. And while it can make sense intellectually, there's a lot of background that's assumed, and then the progression, it's just sprinted through. And both of these are explored in surface-level ways. And while they do add some emotional dimension to the movie, they also muddle that trajectory. With the social commentary, first looking at gender rights, the story begins strongly, introducing a thought-provoking question, taking gender identity and then inserting it into an arc that stereotypically contrasts greatly with what societal norms are assumed to be, especially within a cartel scenario. And I thought this was a bold idea, and it certainly grabbed my attention because it was so wildly unexpected. But unfortunately, once this segment of the story has a resolution, the writing doesn't know what to do next with the storyline that it's established, moving more into a traditional relationship tale, but wrought with the development problems that I had talked about earlier. And then there's the critique on cartels and corruption. I mean, this can be powerful, but is addressed haphazardly and sporadically. Sometimes there's a key focus on the violence and shadiness, but then the spotlight's shuffled onto a new idea, leaving that theme to be surfacely discussed. So we got this cartel story with all sorts of mildly addressed offshoots crisscrossing their way through everything, sometimes complementing the storytelling, other times serving as a massive distraction. And then the entire movie devolves into an unnecessary action piece that adds excitement and chaos, but doesn't know what to do from there other than introduce tragedy. I mean, I was fully on board for the first half of the film, entranced by the fluid and immersive camera work, and then mesmerized by the songs, especially when Zoe Saldana would be delivering the melodies. But once the story began to lose its direction and introduced ideas without fleshing them out, the storytelling lost a lot of its impact, jumping from scenario to scenario by leapfrogging over time and events to briefly touch on key ideas and then leave them almost as quickly as they arrived. There's a lot of emotional weight in the performances, with moving songs and exciting choreography, but this unfortunately gets drowned out by the muddled storylines that turn what was awesome into something mediocre at the finale. There's some sex, no nudity, a lot of profanity, and some violence. I give Emilia Perez 3 out of 5 couches. Alright, so do you like musicals? I really do, but do you have a favorite? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.